Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ben.
And we're somehow in the last 10 minutes, we just recorded the last podcast. Within 10 minutes, Ben and I have just gotten kind of angry. Not at each other this time.
There are a lot of different reasons.
There's so many different reasons. Oh man, this is going to be a spicy podcast.
Yeah.
So welcome back to Couchcast number 31.
Yeah, Couchcast number 31. Now, what we're going to start off with is, at best, speculation and conjecture, mainly because I wasn't able to find any articles written about it or anything like that.
There are no hard facts here, really.
Yeah. So this is based off of information that I heard from Jim Sterling during one of his recent Jimquisition episodes. It was during the bit at the end, the section of his videos that he likes to dedicate to Konami, and to quote him, "Fuck Konami." And what we're talking about specifically right now is... again, according to what Jim Sterling was saying, Konami is currently actively going around to different game and tech companies in the area that, around its headquarters and everything, essentially actively bad-mouthing former employees and encouraging those tech and game companies to not hire former Konami employees. And that's obviously a whole new level of asshole. If that happened here in the United States, there would be such a huge lawsuit going on. You have no idea. But to add to that, and I don't know how exactly this is enforced, but to add to that, former employees of Konami are being forbidden from putting their time at Konami on their resume. Now, I don't know how exactly that works. I don't know if it would be it says you worked at Konami, let's call them up to verify, and then they just, nope, they didn't work here. So I don't know.
I feel like at that point that's blocking, that's more likely there's something lost in the telling of the story, where if you're working at Konami, you're not allowed to put your time at Konami if you're looking for another job. I don't know. Regardless, it's all just so shitty, right? Yeah. Because, first of all, you're literally, going around saying, actively, the term is blacklisting, basically saying, no, you shouldn't hire these people because of this. That's... I don't know. I don't know the exact definitions, but that's slander and libel, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what the laws are in Japan, but that's not allowed here in the United States.
Yeah, if my employer, even if it was, I was actively looking for another job. If they said, you're not allowed to put us on your resume, and by the way, we went around and told everybody not to hire you, I would have been like, really? Can you say that again, as I hit the record button on my phone?
There's even the story, and I kind of I was trying to find articles once you told me about this, and I found an article where someone was trying to get a job in a completely different industry. It wasn't video game related, but it was, I think it was either movie. I think it was movies. And they were like, yeah, don't hire this guy. What?
Yeah. Yeah, and you
why?
Cannot do that. That is against so many laws.
Again, I don't know Japanese law. That might be...
Well, sure. I just mean, here in the States.
Yeah. But I'm just I don't, why? What does that... We can be upset about the what. Everyone everyone should be upset about what's happening, assuming it's all true. Right? But why? Why does Konami...
That's the entire, reason Jim Sterling has a dedicated section of his videos to saying fuck Konami is because they keep doing stupid shit like this. When all the shit was coming out about how they treated, Hideo Kojima and everything like that, that's when all of this started. And the fact that they're taking so many of their keystone franchises and going nah, man, pachinko machines, that's where it's at.
I mean, they're not wrong. Pachinko machines make a lot of money.
Sure. But that doesn't mean you completely shut down the creative force of your company and go like all in on pachinko machines.
Yeah,
they may make more money, but realistically, I get
it. I don't know.
They have so many good franchises that they're just saying like, fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad.
I don't like. At some point, people are going to like. Again, assuming this is true, like I want to stress that that we don't know what's necessarily true because there's no like factual information out there really that we can find.
I'll try to find the Jim Sterling video and put it in the description if I can. I'd have to remember which one it was.
I bet you can find it, but yeah, like I just at a certain point, right? Like that reputation is going to get out. No one's going to want to come work for you. Like
I would assume so, yeah.
Like,
and I mean, maybe that's part of the thing is like the people they're losing they don't need, and they're just trying to fuck them over one more time or something. I don't know, but
like that's so petty. Or like I
mean, you're talking about the company that like legitimately took Hideo Kojima's name off of the game that won them awards. Like,
yeah, I don't like
Konami by definition at this point is petty. Like they don't have any respect amongst like anyone in the games industry anymore.
I'm just like I'm trying to think like whose job is it to call these like other companies and be like don't hire these people like do you like is it one dedicated person like they hired and be like okay so your job is to like look through the people who have recently left the company,
fire him and tell nobody to hire that guy.
All this guy did was come in and fire people. Why, do you want that in your company? I don't know. I legitimately don't understand. Like maybe like I don't know. It just anyway. It makes me mad.
Yeah. No. I understand. I'm right there with you.
Okay. I think
so.
that moving on. Okay. So speaking of like companies treating employees like super shittily. That's the word.
Yes.
One of my coworkers yesterday came over and we were talking, and he told me about his former company and how he ended up getting let go. And basically, they had a bunch of like fairly popular Facebook and mobile games. Like to be a fairly popular Facebook mobile games is not that popular, but like they're lowish development costs, and pretty high upside. So they were pretty successful at that. But then one day, they came in and they said, "Hey, we're gonna be freezing production and no longer updating all of these games. What we're gonna do is over the next 2 weeks, we're gonna give everyone time to get into teams, come up with different ideas, and present them, or basically submit them to the management. Management is going to take their top 10." And then those teams are going to present their ideas to the company, and then there's gonna be a vote on what games to make, basically.
Okay.
And the way my friend told it was that everyone presented their ideas, everyone voted, and then everyone got fired.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Like, yeah, like it was like all in one day. Presentations in the morning, voting in the afternoon, firing at the end of the day.
So they just like nixed all of their staff.
Yeah, except for a few members of management that were put on quote unquote provisional firing. Which is where
what
they
the
were.
Fuck does that even mean?
That's what I asked. But apparently, what that means is that you're going to be there until through the end of the year, and if you don't stay all the time, you don't get your severance package.
Wow.
So that like.
That's like
they
surefire way to get your company to eat shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
At that point, like, because I mean, You said they're a small developer, so let's say max 100 employees.
Yeah.
That's still like 100 people that are now going to be like, dude, don't fucking work here.
Yeah.
It is shitty, which means you're going to be getting like essentially bottom feeders of the games industry with no experience.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, like I mean, I definitely got like, you know, a very biased opinion. This guy's, you know, very biased on a lot of things that he talks about. But like, yeah, it like that is really bad because like they basically like, here, 2 weeks, give us your best ideas. All right, now you all are gone. And because of the way that like contracts are set up, any work that you do, any design work that you do for a company is legally their property.
Yeah.
So like there's not really any way to fight that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's the thing, is like they did it in like one of those like completely legal ways. So it's like you can't really be like, oh well, you know, they should just fucking sue them, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're kind of shit out of luck if you were there. And
yeah. So what if you called in sick that day? Like, are you just not fired? You just come in the next day and like everyone's gone.
It's like you're in and you're just like, it's just you and like a few managers that are on quote unquote provisional firing.
Yeah, which I seriously don't even understand. Like, how does that work? Like, so they're there till the end of the year, but doing what?
Dude, I don't know. That's what I asked.
Hiring like, an entire brand new team?
Dude, I don't know. I have no fucking clue what happened or why it happened or anything like that. But it happened, and yeah. Anyway, I just like, I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah. So I don't know. Like, it just.
I have
it, no when words. You're getting into when you're trying to get into the games industry, be careful. Like, when you're getting into any industry, like small companies in particular can really do that.
Yeah, because I mean there's a lot that smaller companies get away with, unfortunately, and part of that's because they are smaller. Like, they typically don't have HR departments and that type of thing, and they don't necessarily have to worry about potential massive legal ramifications. Because I mean, like, if someone at that studio like found a basis for a lawsuit and then tried to go through with it, honestly, the lawyer fees would probably eat up any money that they may get from it anyways. So it's
and also on top of that, like, you're not particularly like your brand is not particularly strong, so you just, you know, LLC, I'm out. Yep. And by the way, that was my hand cleaning my hands of the mess.
Yeah, dusting off your hands. Yeah.
But yeah, like, so like I assume that that's probably what was happening. Like, they're like, okay, so we're gonna take these games and then we're gonna like rename our company, basically, like keep our assets but rename it or whatever. I don't know, just blows my mind. But like, if you're at a smaller company and like things start feeling weird and wrong,
yeah,
maybe it's time to move on. Like, I'm not going to give you career advice, but there are shitty people in the world, and like sometimes they come out of nowhere.
Yep. And even if they don't necessarily come out of nowhere, sometimes their actions do. Because I mean, like, I've had plenty of, you know, shitty bosses in the past, but, you know, you don't necessarily expect them to do something like, you know, fire a family member for literally the reason, or like the reason that they fired that family member for was something that they themselves did day in and day out. And you're like, the hypocrisy here is deafening.
Yeah, so. I just, so yeah, anyway, speaking of things that came out of nowhere, so I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, like when the coalition decided that they were going to update the shotgun in Gears of War 4. And like this is a much less of a serious issue than like the Konami story and story of my friend, where careers and lives were affected.
Yeah,
but
this is just a little personal rant.
This is a very personal rant here. So I don't know if I ever said it in a video, but I've said it to you, where anytime that they quote unquote fix the shotgun, I'm always a little worried because some sort of unintended consequence is entirely possible. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So they made a change to the shotgun in early June. They said visually, the shotgun is, or the one-shot range of the shotgun is not visually consistent, or is not what it should be visually. So they said, we're going to extend the one-shot range. Seems like a simple thing, right?
Oh, sure.
Like, it's literally just like add some damage numbers for like a certain distance. Yeah. Presumably. Some things went wrong. Somewhere along the line. So in April, they made the decision that they were going to have the bullets come out of the front of the gun, like the tip of the barrel, as opposed to
like the stock. Yeah,
where the hands are. Which, if you don't understand game design, it makes sense that it would start there, but they changed it to make it more. There were reasons why it was that way, and they fixed because there were some issues where you could shoot through walls otherwise.
Yeah,
but they fixed those issues, and the shotgun was feeling really good. So now it comes out of like the middle of the barrel. The shot does, just for whatever reason, comes out of the middle of the barrel.
When you say the middle of the barrel, do you mean just like for the length of the shotgun, like it just originates in the center, basically?
Not the center, but basically like maybe 3/4 of the way.
Okay, so maybe like instead of like at the very tip of the gun, it's now like by the front hand, essentially.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Which isn't a big deal. Like, you can get used to that.
Assuming it's communicated and intended.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they had communicated that, if that was intended. Then this one is not 100% confirmed because no one thought to check this beforehand. But
oh gosh.
Like no one did took videos of shotgun shots beforehand, but like they may have changed the framing or the number of frames it takes for the shotgun to actually shoot to be shorter. So if you're turning your character, the shot won't actually come out where your gun is pointing, but where it was pointing like 3 or 4 frames earlier.
What?
Yeah. So like
explain again.
Okay, so let's say you're looking to the left and there's a guy on your right.
Yeah.
So you want to turn and shoot him. So you turn and you shoot. But you shoot as you turn because you want to shoot quickly because the guy is right there. The shot is going to come hit 3 frames earlier. So
there's now a retroactive latency, so it's like, oh well, you pulled the trigger here, but even though the server registered it here, we're gonna say that it actually hit here because that's when you pulled the trigger. Something like that, yeah. It's hard to explain because again, we're just kind of going off of new video. Yeah. And this is what Optic Ashes discovered, and he's the coach for the best competitive team in is it
years.
For Team Optics?
Team Optic Gaming, yeah.
Yeah. I know a thing.
Well, you said Team Optics, which is not, it's Optic Gaming.
I mean,
that is their official name.
It's the same. Okay.
Anyway, you did it.
Sports.
Anyway, so he knows his stuff because he has to, and his best guess is that it shoots faster, but almost too fast for the animation.
Yeah, that could make sense. If you have incidents firing off faster than the time allotted for the animation, that type of thing, that would actually result in a little bit of what appears to be like a retroactive latency on where it hits. That
it also could be
sucks.
like, because, you know, online gaming, whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, so like, again, that's something that like you could technically adjust for. Right? Like you could you know, learn to like wait 3 or 4 frames.
Give like a tenth of a second beat before you pull the trigger.
I think the math on it is 1/20th of a second.
Okay. So realistically, what you're saying is it's not going to affect people like Ben, who like stare at a person for a good half second before they pull the trigger.
But boy, let me tell you, it affects me. Like, you know, like I didn't understand why like my shots were missing, like, or like why I wasn't killing people. Like I started getting a ton of like 70% damage on people, and I'm like, what the? I'm shooting them in the face.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I wasn't. The other thing, though, the one that like really rustles my jimmies,
really
is
grinds your gears.
Grinds my gears. Okay. Blind firing now shoots in random directions, a little bit.
What?
So,
like not straight in front of you, but just like.
So what you'll do? So normal shotgunning, you shoot, it goes up, like there's a recoil and it shoots and it goes up, right?
Yeah.
Now, the recoil, or like the shots just go in like a alternating up diagonal pattern, where like the first shot will go straight, like exactly where you're aiming, and then the next shot will go up and to the left, even if you reset your camera to aim at the exact same spot, which should shoot the exact same spot. Go up to the left, and then it'll go up to the right, and it'll go up to the left and up to the right.
That is terrible.
So
I mean,
something
again,
happens.
nothing that would affect someone like me, because I just habitually don't hip fire all that much. Mm-hmm. Like I just am always like, even if it's for a moment, just hitting left trigger to like center my screen and everything.
Which is fair, totally fair.
So,
but
I mean, I've seen you play. It's like that's gonna fuck you up hard.
Yeah, tell me about it. It has. I'm legitimately like considering not playing until they like hopefully fix it. Like hopefully this isn't like they're not like this is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted.
You know, Overwatch is a great game. So
to their credit, though, currently, I don't think this is in response to what has happened, because I think this has been happening for the past few days. They have brought pro players up to test some new tuning mechanics, like new weapon tunings and map tunings and stuff like that. So
nice.
They're hope, and like I know that like Optic Kenny, who was part of was in Optic Ash's video exposing like those changes.
Yeah.
So he's there, so I'm sure that he's going to be yelling at them.
Nice.
So hopefully it'll be fixed sooner rather than later, because I can tell you that it is affecting my gameplay, and like I don't know how to adjust for random shots.
Yeah.
And like it's to the point where like it might not sound like much, and it's not like it shoots off like, you know, 20 feet in the wrong direction or anything. It's just like a slight miss. But when you have to hit all 8 pellets to get a kill.
Yeah, for the one shot, yeah.
You miss 1 or 2 pellets and they don't, you're dead.
Yep. That blows hard.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't. That went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but hopefully my anger was entertained.
You know, that's okay. So
go for your rant.
Well, I don't want to necessarily want to call mine a rant as much as it is just a question to the general populace, I guess we can call it, because there's this stigma out there that GameStop is the devil. Now, I want to be clear that the entire idea of used games and reselling them, all that kind of stuff, I do personally feel like it does more harm than good in terms of the game industry's bottom line. And I know that there are people that are going to argue that and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that we should, you know, get rid of all used games, blah, because I do feel like they serve a purpose. And I feel like it's kind of one of those like necessary evil type of things. But GameStop specifically is, you know, often referred to as being terrible because, you know, there are all the memes of like, you know, I took in like 100 games and got like 10 cents or some shit.
Speaking of memes, my favorite, and I'll try to send this to you so you can put it on there, is there's a news article where this guy was wrongly imprisoned, and the state gave him $75 as compensation or whatever. And there's a comment underneath, and it was like, where was he being held? GameStop?
Awesome. Anyways, so GameStop has like this bad reputation of essentially, you know, trade in a bunch of games and they give you, you know, diddly squat. I've spoken about this before and how, you know, you can't expect to get, you know, $40 for a game that's like 3 years old or anything, because games are like any other thing out there and they depreciate in value the instant you take it off the shelf, you know. So yeah, it makes sense. Whether or not you necessarily agree with GameStop's practices is beside the point.
I think the biggest thing that hold on really quick. My biggest problem with them is not that like they pay too low, it's that they charge way more than they for like a used game. Like they'll pay like $30 for a newer game that's used. Like you play like through a campaign and you're like, here, I'm going to trade this in. They'll give you $30 and then they'll turn around and sell it for $55.
Yeah, but I mean that
it's business practice. It's whatever. That's my only like personal.
But I mean,
issue.
Like I've said before, you know, they have to make a profit. They have to store that game, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it makes sense. But again, we're getting off topic. Like I've said before, you know, when it comes to selling games to GameStop, you just have to do it at the right time. Like if they have a promotion going on, you know, like if when they had the Nintendo Switch, you know, on pre-order and everything, like I had mine pre-ordered, and there was a week where you got an extra 60% of trade-in value if it was being put towards a Nintendo Switch. So I took a bunch of games in and pretty much paid off my, you know, what was left on the Nintendo Switch. Like my Xbox One and my Nintendo Switch were paid for almost completely by either like gift cards for my birthday that came from extended family or trading in games, and the majority of those were game trade-ins and that kind of thing, because you just have to take them in at the right time. Perfect example of that is I recently went into GameStop, took in 4 games, and got $41.30.
It's not bad.
And I traded in Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, Mass Effect 3, so an Xbox 360 game, and Walking Dead Season 2, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And that was the one that came bundled with the Modern Warfare 4 Redux or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or Modern Warfare Redux, not 4. Anyways, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the one that gave me the most was Call of Duty. And that gave me $28? $28? No. 29 something. It was basically 30 something.
You know what you could do with that is pay for 2 DLC packs from the Modern Warfare Remastered.
Yeah, you could. Because I brought this up to you before we started recording this podcast, because you were saying, you know, I still want to play, you know, the multiplayer and everything, and I'm like, well, you know, I heard the multiplayer kind of sucks and not many people play it because of reasons, including but not limited to the price of the DLC, and it's been a while since I've checked the facts on this, so maybe something's changed. I don't know. But the fact that like they have the exact same map packs that they did, what, like 10 years ago? And
something like that, yeah.
They're selling them
10 years ago,
for more than what they were 10 years ago. And I mean, sure, you could argue, you know, oh, inflation and all that kind of stuff. But if they were okay selling these maps for, you know, you have 3 maps or whatever, and it's $10 10 years ago. Okay, sweet. But 10 years ago, they were also completely, like, from scratch making those maps. As opposed to now, where it's literally just, like, bump up the textures a bit, you know? So yeah. I feel like maybe, raising the price, not justified.
So there's a reason why most remasters are actually cheaper than the originals, is because they require less work.
Yeah.
But hey, Ben. The expansions cost $15, but they also contain 10 quote-unquote rare supply drops, which contain cosmetic items. So, I mean, that's just value.
Right. I forgot about the microtransactions in Call of Duty.
I mean, just pure value. You just get free shit.
So, now maybe it's just me, but I feel like the Call of Duty franchise is kind of going all in on this like microtransaction crap that they don't really know what
things are going all in on microtransactions.
But I feel like other games are doing it in a understandable and like logical manner where they are doing like one or the other. Because I feel like even DICE is like starting to steer away from DLC and microtransactions, and they're just like, everybody gets the maps but microtransactions. And I feel like that's a fair practice. But I don't see that ever happening with a Call of Duty game.
Well, okay, so like for clarity, I believe that the microtransactions in Call of Duty are only cosmetic. I don't think it's like old Battlefield, like I think Battlefield Hardline in 3? Battlefield 3? I think did it where like, you could buy all the weapons and you just have them unlocked instead of earning them.
Yes, I think that was the first time they did that. I could be wrong though.
I don't know. Anyway, one of the Battlefield games had that where it was like $40 and you unlocked all the weapons and you didn't have to grind for them.
Yeah.
Which that's where I think like it goes past the line. But if it's just cosmetic stuff,
see, but
I don't care.
The thing with those unlock packs is that they typically don't include the weapons that need to have like challenges completed in order to unlock. It typically only counts the weapons that are, in terms of like Battlefield 1 and Hardline, unlocked with currency, or for Battlefield 3 and 4 it was unlocked through level progression. I don't feel like those are really an issue. I mean, that's kind of like a borderline type of thing, but typically like the super like OP guns and everything are like, oh well, in order to unlock this sniper rifle that has ridiculous accuracy and all that kind of crap, like you have to get 100 headshots and 10 killing sprees or something like that. And all this kind of stuff. So although I can understand what you're saying, I feel like it's not as crappy as what you say, because typically some of the earliest guns that you unlock are generally the best.
Like don't like, I'm not saying that like it's super shitty. I just like it's when when microtransactions start impacting gameplay, that's when I start getting like, that's not cool. Like,
but I mean, I also feel like there's a way for microtransactions to impact gameplay without crossing that line. And I feel like Battlefield is typically danced that line for sure, but I don't know that they've ever crossed it.
Sure. I'm not claiming that they did. I'm just saying that I start getting a little spookered. I'm like a little like, this kind of makes me uneasy. Like, I'm just like, I don't know.
But I mean, like I've said before, microtransactions are kind of unfortunately a necessary evil, because unless like we as consumers want to start paying $100 per game or something like that, it's going to be required. Because I mean, game development is not cheap. Even if you had like a small studio of like, let's say 500 people, or I guess that's a medium-sized studio, not small, but like let's say you had a studio of like 500 people or something, in order to run that studio for even a month is probably going to cost you a few $1,000,000 if you calculate in licenses, utilities, salary for everybody, all that kind of stuff. So it's not cheap. Like, microtransactions are kind of one of those things that need to happen until we come to a magical place where everybody's like, yeah, sure, I'll drop $150 on this brand new game.
The people who are mad about microtransactions are, I feel like, very... It's one of those things where, like, as long as if you're not forced to pay for microtransactions, I don't think that you should complain.
Yeah, but I also feel like a game should be designed without them in mind in terms of progression. Like, I should never, in a full, like, $60 title, I should never get to a point where I'm like, you know, crap, like, it would be better for me if I just spent like the $5-10 or whatever in order to unlock this thing.
Okay, we're 36 minutes in, give or take. So we're gonna end.
If you want to hear more about,
if you want to hear us talk about microtransactions, I think
let us know in the comments. I feel like we have done it, but if you want to hear more about it, then we can beat a dead horse and do it again. Just let us know in the comments. And otherwise, we will see you guys next time on Split Couch Games Couchcast.
Yeah, Couchcast.
Couchcast. Couchcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.